Hey everyone, Tony Walsh here, and welcome back to Walsh Farms and another edition of Farm Truck Friday. Last week we started a series on happiness, and I gave you 5 tips to be for daily happiness, and we want to continue with 5 more tips. So we'll wind up the daily tips with a total of 10. 5 last week, 5 today. And those 5 from last week were to smile, exercise, get plenty of sleep, eat good, and be grateful. 5 easy things to do. Doesn't cost you anything, but maybe just a little bit of time and thought. So we want to continue with the remaining 5. So starting this week with number 6 is to give compliments. Research shows that being kind and performing acts of kindness can help you feel more satisfied. Because when we give compliments, when we give sincere compliments, it's a quick and easy way to brighten someone else's day while giving our own happiness a boost. Make them feel good, we feel good. Catch a person's eye and say it with a smile so that they know you mean it. You might just be surprised on how good that makes you feel. The 7th tip is to breathe deeply. When you're tense, your shoulders get tight, you feel as though you just might lose it. And we all know that feeling, especially with the stress. I've talked about that with me, and since I have resigned my position at the hospital, and today's the last day, and that stress is already gone. Not saying the new job won't have stress, but I'll figure out how to deal with it from there. Instinct tells us that we have to take long, deep breaths to calm ourselves down. And it turns out that instinct is a good one. Because according to Harvard Health, deep breathing exercises reduce stress. Some of it because we have to concentrate on something else. So the next time you feel at wit's end or feel stressed, work through these steps. Close your eyes. Try to envision a happy memory or a beautiful place. Take a slow, deep breath through your nose and then breathe out through your mouth. Repeat this process several times, taking slow, deliberate breaths, and try counting to 5 with each inhale and exhale. The 8th tip is to acknowledge the unhappy moments. They're there, we're going to have them, so let's learn how to deal with it. Because a positive attitude is a good thing, but bad things happen to everyone. It's just a part of life. If we get some bad news, if we make a mistake, if we feel like we're in that funk, don't try to pretend to be happy. Acknowledge that feeling of unhappiness. Let yourself experience it for a moment, then shift your focus away from that and towards something that makes you feel happy. Let that moment pass and take care of yourself. Remember that no one's happy all the time. The 9th tip is to keep a journal. Write things down. Make notes. Writing it out, sometimes can help us in our thought process to work things out in our heads. It's a way to organize our thoughts. It's a way to analyze our feelings. It's a way to make plans. Now, you don't have to be a genius. You don't have to write a novel. You don't have to write books. Just make some notes. Keep track of your thoughts. You can shred it when you're done. Nobody has to see it but you. It's a way to talk to yourself, to work things out. Now, the last tip for daily habits to being happy is face that stress head on. Now, that's maybe hard since, I'm quitting a job, but I faced it head on as long as I could. And we have to remember that life is full of stressors, and it's impossible to avoid them all. And there's no need to. Sometimes stress can be a good thing for us. It isn't always harmful. We may be even able to change our attitudes about stress. But for those stressors that you can't avoid, there's no reason to dwell on it. Don't think it's all your fault, because chances are you're stronger than what you really think you are. Instead of letting your instead of letting yourself get overwhelmed, and that's really what happened to me. I just let myself get overwhelmed. So instead of doing that, tackle that stress head on. Now, this might mean initiating an uncomfortable conversation, or even possibly putting in some extra work. But the sooner you tackle it, and this is where I went wrong, I let it fester. But the sooner you tackle that stress, the sooner that pit in your stomach will start to think. So that's our 10 daily tips for happiness. And next week, we're going to start on some weekly tips. And I'm going to put these tips in the video description so that way you can go back and think about it. Because we all need help. Sometimes we can help ourselves, sometimes we need help from others. So even if this video doesn't pertain to you, try to remember and retain some of it, because you may have a family member, a friend, a co-worker that needs some of this advice. So go back and show them this video. So again, that ends our tips, and it's time for our prayer list. And we always want to pray for everyone involved in our YouTube community, and I thank everyone that is in my YouTube circle. You know, I consider you part of my family. And so I always want to pray for you. Don't forget that I have a prayer list on the community tab, and I update it every weekend after this video plays for about a day. If you're on that list and it needs to be updated, you know, if you've gotten better, things have gotten worse, you know, please leave a comment and let me know. You can email me. My email's, you know, jmwalshfarms@gmail.com. It's in the About section. It's on the community tab. Just give me an update on how you're doing. That way I can update the rest of our YouTube family, because I firmly believe that prayer for each and every one of us is what's going to get us through this world. So our prayer list this week comes from Jesus is Lord YouTube channel. That's their name, and she was asking prayers for the country of Israel and the people of Israel, and I agree with that. I firmly believe that the way Israel goes, we go. If Israel fails, I think this world is going to fail. So, you know, I'm not saying the others don't need prayer too, but there's a reason we want to pray for Israel, and we need to honor that request. This one is from Mary at Mary's Ranch and Wild Cookin. We prayed for her a couple of times before, but she's still having issues and has the infection she hasn't gotten any better, so we want to continue prayer for her healing. Elizabeth over at Common Sense with Elizabeth put out a heartfelt video earlier this week. Her cancer is back, you know, so Elizabeth, if you're watching this, our hearts and our thoughts go out to you, my friend. You know, our prayers are with you. The next one is a new channel to me. It's Glam by Nicoles Eyes, and she asked for prayers for a friend's dog. You know, and I really thought about that. You know, do I really want to go down that road? But the more I thought about it, why not? I have 2 dogs, and they are precious to me, even though they're aggravating at times. Those 2 dogs are like children, so I could not ignore this request, because what is just an animal to one person is a family member to another. the state of Israel and the people there and what they're going through. Lord, we just lift them up to you and ask you to continue protecting them and blessing them. With Mary and her issues, Lord, we just pray that you heal that infection. Lord, some way that you heal Elizabeth in her recurring cancer. Lord, we just pray for your healing touch on her. And with the friend of Glam by Nicoles Eyes and their pet, Lord, as I said a